on! You son of a bitch.
Predator, an absolute classic of the 80s that gave us some of the baddest-assed, most testosterone-fueled action of the era, and one of the most famous creature designs ever, right up there with the xenomorph. Beauty. But that was 1987, and it's 2025 now. So what did we get? If you guessed a cutesy big-eyed monster baby, an insufferably chatty and emotional android, mindless CG creature fights ad nauseum, and a buddy adventure with a lesson about family, all with a PG-13 rating, well, how the hell did you guess that? It is what we got, though.
You have an iconic villain, and then you essentially explain them away. It winds up taking away from like the fear factor and the intensity of the character. So
sometimes I feel like I'm losing my mind. The amount of love this thing's getting, albeit early on, I'm really starting to wonder what's wrong with me, because this is easily one of the worst movies in this genre I've ever seen. Especially as a longtime fan of the material, the original movies, the Dark Horse comics, the novels, the NECA figures, and so on. This is awful. It's right there with The Predator, which is also a jokey mess, just in a different way.
Hey, Baxley, if your mom's vagina were a video game, it'd be rated E for everyone.
I'm not trying to be hyperbolic. I'll tell you exactly why I think this thing sucks so hard. First off, and this is the least of the movie's problems, though it is the most obvious, but I hate how the Yautja look in this. I absolutely hate it. The character design looks so stupid. I saw a lot of people defending the look when the trailer first dropped, saying it's because he's young or from a different clan. So what? Does that make it better? Here's what young Yautja were envisioned as in the Dark Horse comics, by the way, specifically Aliens vs. Predator War. Notice anything different? No sumptuous hairline here. I'm not saying the creatives shouldn't make changes to existing designs. There have been plenty of Predator variations over the years. But then again, Lucasfilm made plenty of changes to Star Wars under Disney. And look how that turned out. Point is that the creatives took, as I said, one of the most iconic creature designs in cinematic history and revamped it for the worse. He looks entirely too human-like. It takes away from the monstrous and alien aspect of the Predator. And it isn't just Deck, the main Predator we follow. His older brother looks similar, just with fewer front dreads but with a heavier brow. And while the elder Predator looks more like what we'd expect, he also has a goatee. An actual goddamn goatee with human-like hair coming off his chin.
What the hell are you talking about?
Yes, you get to see him with his mask off, and it's there in all its glory. I'm not opposed to the idea, but don't humanize the Yautja in the process. I don't know why the creatives went this direction, but it sucks. After seeing the movie, my best guess is that they wanted a look that would be easier to emote and show expression, given how much talking Deck does. Like, he needed to be a little more human for us to empathize with him or something.
The Predator character in this movie demands a performance far beyond anything we've ever done before.
I liked the previous live-action Predator film Dan Trachtenberg did, the same director who did this. And I was on board with the feral Predator look, even though it's not my favorite. But humanizing them? This just sits wrong with me. Empathy is one thing, which this movie does pretty well, but anthropomorphizing killer aliens from what used to be a sci-fi action horror franchise is another, and really undercuts the core concept of the entire thing.
And a lot of times when movies dare to do this, it winds up not being a good thing.
And the helmets look pretty generic and uninteresting as well, in my opinion. Nothing that really stands out like what we've seen before. There have been a ton of revisions to the Predator helmets, and all of them look better than these. On top of that, every weapon the Predators use has to have a red laser-like glow. It isn't just the swords, the bow, string, and arrows look like laser light. His shuriken weapon also has that red glow on the edges. Everything. Why? It feels like it's just done for spectacle, to have some cool scenes with pseudo lightsabers. Anyway, like I said, that's the least of the problems this film has. The story is simple. Deck is forced to go to the so-called Death Planet to kill the most dangerous animal there, called a Kalisk. An unkillable, regenerating creature even when its head is cut off. That reminded me of Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon, just with a lot more spikes. Its face is kinda cat-like. Deck has to bring the Kalisk's head back so he can prove himself worthy as part of the clan and avenge his brother who died in the course of protecting him from their very overbearing father, the Elder Predator. While on planet, Deck runs into Thea, played by Elle Fanning, who is part of a Weyland-Yutani bioweapons expedition manned entirely by synths. Weyland-Yutani wants to capture the Kalisk and bring it back for research. Of course, this puts Deck at odds with the Weyland-Yutani mission. But when a cute little blue monkey-like creature starts following Deck and Thea, the hunt turns into a quest to reunite the baby with its mother, which, surprise surprise, is the dreaded Kalisk itself, while taking down those evil Weyland-Yutani androids and Thea's evil sister Tessa along the way. Thanks to Thea's enhanced emotional sensitivity, she's able to convince Deck of the value of cooperation, and he discovers that, maybe, the clan you thought you didn't have was actually there all along. And then the three of them, which Thea calls the dynamic trio, yes, that's in the movie, show up on Yautja Prime where Deck challenges and kills his father and becomes the chief, apparently. And we get a little ragtag team shot at the end like Guardians of the Galaxy or something, while Deck's mother comes zooming in on a huge spaceship and fade to black. Sound Disney enough for you? Kind of like Avatar mixed in with any other Disney plot with a cute little creature thrown in for good measure, like Grogu or E.T. or something along those lines. Predators skinning humans and polishing their skulls, this is not. There are no humans in the entire movie, actually, just scores of ridiculously designed creatures on the planet, and some synths that all look alike except for Thea and Tessa. And that's fine, but if you were expecting some big, sinister, or interesting plot from Weyland-Yutani, or more of a tie-in with the Aliens franchise, there isn't. It's the most basic idea possible. Bad corporation capturing mommy and other critters for bioweapons research. Sure, it's in keeping with Weyland-Yutani's behavior, but it's extremely straightforward. Tonally, the movie is far more lighthearted than other Predator films, probably because it's the first one not rated R. And there are more attempts at humor for sure. Thea is exactly like this.
Well, good luck with your journey.
Her tone, her jokey manner, her bubbly attitude for pretty much the entire runtime. She's insufferable and doesn't ever shut the fuck up. It's meant to contrast with the stoic Predator, but my god, she's so annoying. Deck is the best character in the film by far, and comes across as you would expect a Predator to act and rationalize things. But even he has problems. He goes from hunting the monster to redeem his place in the clan, at threat of death, to trying to reunite it with his child. He's had a lifetime of Yautja learning, training, and societal influence, raised in a culture of violence where culling the weakest is a core pillar of his community, only for an empathetic synth to overturn it all in the span of a couple days. Man, that's real dedication right there. Thea's, quote, sister, Tessa, is a straight copy of her, who takes her job much more seriously than her sibling, which eventually brings them into conflict with one another. This character is pretty cool, but does feel very one-note and cartoonishly evil by the end. There's a mech scene with Tessa driving a much bigger power loader than in Aliens, which feels entirely derivative and a lot like the Colonel's last stand in Avatar, with the same kind of burn everything down mentality. So I didn't think the story was anything special, but that's not really what set me off. It's not the worst. I like the Yautja Prime aspects and the expansion of the Predator lore. I'm on board for that. What really killed this thing for me was all the stupid bullshit and illogical crap that popped up everywhere in this film. I'll just list some things off, and this is by no means a comprehensive list. So Thea's been torn in half, but toward the end of the movie, her legs get free from where they were and proceed to walk toward her location, which is in a cage in the Weyland-Yutani camp. The legs home in seemingly independently, which would be dumb enough already, but then the disembodied legs proceed to stalk the other synths and take them down like a fucking ninja. They're running around and kicking ass and doing Black Widow scissor throws.
Oh, this is hot scissoring. Oh, scissor me timbers.
Tell me how this works with no upper body weight and leverage. All the while, Thea's cheering on her own legs, like they're an independent entity, like Thing's cousin or something. It's so stupid. Or how about when Deck loses all of his armor and weapons and fashions new gear out of things he can find in the forest, like an animal bone helmet, which looks pretty stupid, and a wrist blade made out of a horn or a large fang. Sounds cool, right? Sure, until he picks up a wild snake thing that spits acid and props it up on his shoulder like a plasma caster, and has this thing spitting acid at the synths while he fights. And somehow it knows exactly where to aim, and when to fire, and when to hold, and spit at some exploding seeds with perfect aim and timing so as to blow up a group of androids. Just saying this out loud hurts my brain. It's total ass. It's as idiotic and unbelievable as it sounds. A wild snake plasmacaster, which doesn't spit at Deck because he gave it some food it likes. Yeah, good stuff right there. Or how about when Thea and the blue little monkey thing, which she names Bud, are trying to infiltrate the Weyland-Yutani base, and an android stops them to demand what they're doing. And the camera pans down to show us Bud wearing a rain poncho like he's trying to blend in. Kinda like fucking E.T. or something. And how the hell is their little monkey-sized poncho? Jesus wept. Or how about when Tessa blows up the Callisk from the inside with a cryo bomb that demolishes the seemingly invincible monster that can regenerate even when its head is chopped off, but she's still able to walk out. She isn't completely frozen, even though she was at the epicenter of the blast.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
I'm not making this shit up. If anyone had a complaint about some dumb crap that happened in a Marvel movie, the stuff that happens in here is way worse. The whole movie is basically a CG slopfest. It's fighting CG creatures over and over and over. Dan Trachtenberg dials everything up to ridiculous levels, with huge monsters in the sky, razor grass that shreds almost anything that goes through it, an overblown mech loader fight, a couple Yautja duels, trees that try to kill you, exploding seed pods, and on and on. It might be cool if there wasn't so much of it and things were more focused. Forget about the core premise of Predator, the hunting part, the part that made other movies in the franchise suspenseful and interesting. That's all out the window here. There's only one brief scene where Deck actually sets up traps and does some stalking, but it soon devolves into another CG fest. As it is, this movie feels like it was made for 12-year-old boys. The focus is on spectacle and big explosions, with some messaging about empathy and families. There is plenty of violence despite the PG-13 rating, and you do see more of Yautja culture and Yautja Prime, but not much to be honest. As I said, the Yautja language is kind of cool, and you hear a lot of it. But it's diminished when Thea has to explain what a universal translator is to the audience like a bunch of dummies. Yes, she calls it a universal translator. And the mother AI is given a voice in this movie, so those cryptic text communiques are gone here. And Weyland-Yutani is already fully aware of the Yautja, apparently having seen several hunters come to the Death Planet before. So there's no mystery or wonder in that either. Thea can speak the language from the get-go, thanks to that universal translator, and says almost right away that they've seen many of Deck's kind before. Talk about shrinking the universe while trying to expand it. I could go on, but man, the whole thing boggles my mind. It takes the idea of predators and runs off in some other direction way out in left field, somewhere kid-friendly and comedic. I'm all for expanding the lore and the universe, but this feels way off, cartoony. From a movie that featured in the likes of Fangoria to cute baby tagalongs and Marvel-style team-ups? What the hell happened? I hate this. 3 out of 10 for me, with some points for the decent action and some cool Yautja lore, as well as the technically competent filmmaking. It's sad because there is a strong core here, and the story's not the worst, but everything around it sucks. Feel free to disagree, but if those examples I was reading off, like snake plasmacasters, disembodied kung fu legs, jokey androids with bangers like, "You catch more flies with honey than with vinegar," cutesy creatures sneaking around in rain ponchos, etc., sound good to you, well then, I guess we just like different kinds of films when it comes to the Predator franchise. Not everything has to follow the same formula, but this thing is not it. I hate when there's too much jokey bullshit in Marvel movies, and I won't stand for that crap in Predator at all. Know the franchise and know the tone. God damn. If you got this far, thanks. Feel free to let me know why you disagree or agree with me in the comments. I'm happy to hear all sides. And judging by all the positive reviews, I'm sure a lot of people will disagree with me. But hey, I gotta be honest with myself. As always, thanks for watching.
Oh shit, here we go again.